Welcome to another conversation in the FM Expert series. Today I'm joined by the wonderful Liz Kentish. Hi, Liz.
Hi, Beth.
Thank you for being here, Liz. I have been trying to get Liz to do one of these for a very long time, so I'm very pleased she's with me finally. Liz is the Managing Director at Kentish Co, and we have just established, has been working in and around FM, we think, for around 24 years. So has got a lot of information to share with us. And the subject of today's session is the 7 secrets to making change stick. So Liz, with that, I'm going to hand over to you. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thanks, Beth. And hi, everybody. So let me just start by telling you very briefly a little bit more about myself. I'm very wary of people who define themselves by their job. So let me tell you things about me that you might not know. My passions. So I'm passionate about people. I'm passionate about psychology. I'm passionate about the colour purple, not the film, but the actual colour purple. I'm very passionate about pop music. I have been known to stalk pop stars until they become my friends. And I'm passionate about post, anything letter related. A little bit then about the work stuff. As Beth says, I lead a team of behavioural change experts in FM. That's what we do at Kentish Co. What does that mean? And people often look at me and they go, behavioural change, Liz, what is it? So we're about making change stick, whether it's about building a stronger team, it might be some coaching or mentoring for an individual in your organisation, or it could be working with client-side organisation and their service partners to build stronger partnership to negate the need to go to market, because oh my god, isn't that stressful and expensive and takes us away from the day job. I'm also the co-founder of Plan B for FM Mentoring, which is a free of charge mentoring, global mentoring program for women. I'm a trustee of From Me to You, and I'm a singer-songwriter, and perhaps more about that a little bit later. So as Beth said, she very kindly invited me along to talk about the 7 secrets to making change stick. Now, because I love music so much, I've tied each of the 7 secrets into a song title.
Love this.
And we put together a Spotify list, right, Beth?
Well, I've been singing away already today, so I shall share it with everyone as well.
Brilliant. You'll have to tell us, Beth, as we go through which of the songs really resonated with you and which you haven't heard for a while. So the 7 secrets to making change stick, according to Kentish Co. So number 1, and I'm not going to try and sing it. Number 1, do you know where you're going to?
Yeah.
We have to, as leaders in our organisations, give clarity and direction. We've got to be really clear about what the change looks like and why it's necessary. It could be a change in process. It could be a change of people, particularly if senior people move on. It could be a change in behaviours we're looking for. As human beings, psychology and sociology, and it all tells us that we are more likely to support a change if we understand why it's happening and exactly what it is. And I'd like to say people aren't stupid, so don't assume they're not interested.
Yeah, and it's also the kind of what's in it for me thing, isn't it? People need to understand, I know why you want to do it, but why should I come on the journey with you? Yeah, absolutely. So do you know where you're going to? I have to stop humming that in my head as you said it. It's dangerous, this linking with a song thing.
But it makes it memorable. And again, when we're talking about leadership, we've got to be able to communicate with people in a way that's memorable and fun. And it's so much about why are we making the change? Why are we doing this thing? And to be fair, Beth, it's not always about what's in it for me, in my opinion, because sometimes change impacts us in a negative way in the workplace. But we've got to think about the greater good, and we've got to think about our customers, our clients, our colleagues. Sometimes it's for their benefit and not so much for ours, and that's okay.
Yeah, and I think from a leadership point of view, having absolute clarity as to why we're doing this and where we're going, and like you say, not being woolly about it, because if we know where we're going and we've got absolute clarity and focus, we're far more likely to get there successfully.
Absolutely. And if anybody hasn't read Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, I mean, the book's been around for decades now, but it's still so powerful. One of his habits is start with the end in mind. So we have to know where you have to know your destination before you set the sat nav.
Nice.
Otherwise, you're going to be driving round and round.
Yeah. Nice. Love that. Thank you.
The other important thing with number 1, do you know where you're going to, is to be really clear about how we'll know when we've got there. So what are sort of measurable, measurable measures of success, if you like? What are our SMART goals? And, and everybody knows what SMART stands for, but most people don't use it.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Okay.
So secret number 2 to making change stick. I'm going to mention a fantastic song here by one of my absolute rock heroes, Peter Frampton. Number 2 is Show Me the Way. I had a mentor for much of my career in FM, and she taught me one of the most powerful things I have ever learned in my career. And she said, you have to live it, not laminate it. And I think as leaders, that's exactly what we have to do. It's all very well publishing values and mission and vision statements, putting them on your website, sticking them on the wall. But if you don't behave that way all the time, as much as humanly possible, people won't follow. People will go, well, we say we're an ethical company, or we say we act with integrity, but we don't, because our managing director doesn't, or our HR officer doesn't. So live it, don't laminate it.
Yeah, I love that. And it made me think immediately as you said that of the All Blacks and all the examples you hear of the All Blacks and the way they behave as a team and the respect and the courtesy and all that sort of stuff they show each other. Yeah, very, very powerful, really powerful. And in your experience, I wonder what percentage of leaders would fail at that?
Yeah, and it's not just leaders. I mean, it's even in our family environments and things, I talk a lot about people who roll their eyes, and it's that, and if someone catches you doing that, that takes away all the integrity that you've built up. It's hard to behave like this all the time. None of us are perfect, but it's just having people around us to remind us, what we've committed to. Simple things like, and I get this sometimes with clients, I'm not going to tell you which ones, but when I have a call but with a client and they're 15 minutes late to the call, and we maybe had a 25-minute call, and then they expect to start that 25 minutes, 15 minutes into the call, that's not okay. That's not good leadership behavior. I may only be a supplier, but I'm an important supplier, and this is about trust and integrity. Live it, don't laminate it.
Yeah, love that. Love that. Yeah, thank you.
For number 3, we're going over to the Beatles. Help. I need somebody. Number 3 for making change stick is to help your people be at their best.
Okay.
So you're going to know who needs what and then help them have that, whether it's training, coaching, mentoring, other resources, just someone who will listen to them, a bit of guidance, a cup of coffee every now and then. Sometimes it's something really small, sometimes it's a big investment, but we need to know our people. And as a leader, you also need to have someone who will tell you the truth.
Yeah.
None of us, it's nice when people go, oh, Liz, Beth, you were fantastic. That was a fantastic video. But if someone really could give us feedback and say, oh, Liz actually could have done that a bit different, or
hard. You don't necessarily want to hear it at the time, but you learn from it, don't you? So not have sycophants around you, but have people who will actually give you the truth. Really, particularly I think, as you, like you say, as you get higher up in your career, really important. Okay.
So number 3, help your people be at your best, and have people help you be at your best as well.
Love that.
Okay.
And before you move on from number 3, no, I just want to say we're doing these quickly, but they are quite profound. They really are. So I think watch and listen to this again if you're watching this, because actually there's some very, very important stuff in here. Liz, thank you.
And also to anybody who is watching who wants more information on any of them, get in touch with myself or Beth. We have plenty of resources we can share with you around these areas.
Okay, perfect. Number 4.
Number 4, back to the 80s, my favorite era for music. Talk. All you want to do is talk. Boring but true. Talking, communication, absolutely critical for making change stick. So it's about keeping people informed about progress, about challenges, honestly about challenges and successes, but also taking feedback. You know, two-way communication. We've got to listen to what people's concerns are, even if we don't like them.
Yeah.
It's quite easy, isn't it, Beth? And I'm sure when you do some of your mental health training, it's really easy to shut off when we don't want to hear something.
Well, we hear people, we don't listen. And listening is a skill that most of us need to be taught, whatever age we are. And then we need to practice, because we all get it wrong. So yeah, no, absolutely. And I think the whole thing about talking and communication, we all know that analogy at the airport. We'd rather know if the flight is going to be cancelled or delayed than hear incrementally every hour because they're scared to tell us. Just tell me the bad news, you know? So even if we're communicating bad news, it's better to do it and do it well, isn't it?
Again, I go back to a comment I made earlier. People aren't stupid.
Yeah.
You know, treat them with respect, treat them as adults, and actually you'll be surprised how much support people will give you if you're honest with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And of course, as well as your people, you need to involve your stakeholders. Engage them early in the change process, engage them often, and you'll help to foster real ownership amongst them as well. We do a lot of diagnostic interviews with stakeholders when we start a project with a client, and we find that stakeholders, whether they are the head of manufacturing, the head of research, the head of HR, whoever they are, they genuinely want to be involved with the facilities and workplace team. They want the FM and workplace teams to understand their objectives so that we can support them, and vice versa. So I think when we talk about communication with stakeholders, my absolute go-to reminder here is don't try to second guess them.
Ask and listen. Okay.
Number 5, bit of George Michael here. It's freedom. And I realise, Beth, how cliched all of these sound, but that's because they're true and they work.
Exactly. I know, but I always say we all need to be reminded of the simple basic stuff before we, you know, that Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Get the really straightforward stuff right first before you try and do the other stuff. And this is what you're giving us, and that's perfect. So freedom, what's our sentence for number 5? Is it more than that?
Freedom is about giving people what they need to implement the change in their area and then getting out of their way.
Yeah.
And I think particularly in FM, this applies to our outsourced partners. So often we don't seem to fully trust them to do their job. That's how it appears to them, and we get in the way. So I think here, when we talk about freedom, we have to be absolutely clear about who does what. You know, wherever you are in facilities or workplace or in a supporting role, is your role strategic? Is it tactical? Is it operational? Does it vary depending on the task, depending on the day? Do people know exactly what each of those mean? The word strategy or strategic, Beth, and I know you've come across it too. If you ask 10 people to write down a definition of what being strategic means, you'd have 10 completely different answers.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
But we need to discuss it up front and say, right, your role is strategic. What that means in this context is X, Y, Z, and make sure that we understand it. And within that framework, we let people have the freedom to do their thing.
So give people what they need to implement the change in their area, get out the way, but is also within this, give them the clarity so they understand what their role is as well.
Absolutely. It's like the Disney training, and I don't know if it still works this way, when Disney used to say to their teams, imagine you're on a dance floor. Remember the old light up dance floors that Michael Jackson? Yeah. Imagine you're on
Always
a dance floor.
Wanted to have a go on one of those.
We should definitely do it. We should have an FM dance off.
Yes.
So the outside of the dance floor, the sort of the border of the dance floor is governance, regulation, protocols, the rules, how we do things around here. And so everybody knows what the outside looks like. And then on the dance floor, Disney say, you dance any way you want. You can do your cha-cha-cha, you can do the waltz, you can do your John Travolta, you can do your Michael Jackson, whatever it is, as long as you stay within the boundary of the dance floor, you have the freedom to be you. And I think it's just have a simple framework like that so that people say, okay, our governance says this, our change request is this, but I can do anything to serve my clients within that framework.
Like that. That's a really sensible analogy, isn't it? I've actually drawn that as well as you were talking. So I haven't drawn anyone dancing in the middle, but I've drawn it.
Fantastic.
Loving
and
this.
The good thing about these, Beth, and these sort of painting these pictures for people, is we all learn in different ways.
Yeah, we do.
And it's great for you and I just to sit here and talk about the concept. But if you know this from all your experience of training, you know, as leaders, if we can paint pictures for people, they're much more likely to go, I get that. I can have a go at that.
Yeah, nice. I won't show people my drawing though, because they might not get it. It's not been a skill of mine, I'll be honest. Right, listen, we're already at number 6.
Yes, number 6, David Bowie, changes.
Okay.
So imagine then we've set the destination in our sat nav. What your sat nav does if you come across a roadblock or traffic is it gives you a different alternative, doesn't it? It says recalculating your route, or maybe you take a right turn a little bit too far, too soon, and then it will recalculate your route. So what we need to do as leaders is continuously monitor our progress and measure those outcomes. Are we actually delivering what we said we would deliver at the very beginning when we gave that clarity and direction? Are we heading in the right direction? And we need to, as leaders, be flexible enough to adapt. So based on changing circumstances, based on feedback, do we need to recalculate our route? How many times do you hear people say, oh yeah, we're halfway through a program to do X, Y, Z, and the budget's been cut? Yeah. So we need to be flexible enough to go, okay, so how do we deal with that? What's our contingency? Yeah. What do we tell our people so that we're not pulling the wool over their eyes? You know, we've talked about keeping people informed, keeping our stakeholders informed. Things changed. We're going to recalculate our routes, but we're going to keep people informed.
And should we be planning for the different route options before we start? Or are you happy we do that along the way?
Because it depends what the change is. If it's a massive change, then yes, absolutely. We need to have a bit of a risk assessment and a bit of a risk mitigation strategy, contingency, plan B, plan C. But not to the extent that we're expecting to fail. I think we have to sort of still be confident in our plan.
Yes, there's a fine balance there, isn't there?
And I also think, you know, when we're talking about reviewing and being flexible, it's okay sometimes to go, hey, guess what, guys, this didn't work. That's okay too. You don't have to pretend everything's perfect when it's not. Again, people will respect you and trust you more if you're honest. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. Liking that one. I'm slightly sad to say we've come to 7. Don't want to be there yet. Don't want to be there yet, but go on.
But 7 is fantastic. 7 is celebrate good time.
Oh, your camera froze at that point. I got you back.
Yeah, you see, the internet didn't like my singing.
Oh, but it does, Liz. It does. So 7 is celebrate milestones, celebrate good times. Okay. All right. Nice.
Yeah. Celebrate milestones, celebrate successes. Celebrating along the way keeps morale high, reinforcing positive behaviours. So if we're living it, not laminating it, and everybody else is doing the same, we need to keep reinforcing that. I loved it in that meeting, Beth, when you did this. You demonstrated this. Yeah. You're giving people positive feedback. Rewarding contributions, and I don't mean necessarily financially. Sometimes it's just some public recognition. And I would add, one of the most impactful ways to say thank you to someone is sending them a handwritten note or letter. Yeah. You know, it takes a little bit of time, a little bit of effort, but you know what? There's nothing better than knowing that someone has taken the time to handwrite you a note to say thank you for your contribution.
And it's the kind of thing, let's be honest, that you keep. And it's the thing you look back at 20 years later when you're going through your work file and you go, oh, yeah, no, I remember that. That was really special. Yeah. Whereas that doesn't happen with emails, does it? Yeah, it's a really good point.
It doesn't. I had, when I left Reliance Security, our chairman, Brian Kingham, wrote me a 2 pages of A4 letter in ink pen. And I still have it. And probably once or twice a year, I get the letter out and read it again. And it just reminds me how much trust he had in me, what an impact he had on me, and how he had great belief for me in the future. And, you know, things like that, everybody should have letters like that. Everybody should have something they can turn to and go, oh, yes, I'm doing okay.
Yeah,
I'm doing a good job.
I love that. And I think like you say, celebrating along the way, acknowledging the small wins along the way, just keeps momentum, builds momentum, keeps people wanting to get to that end result, doesn't it? Yeah, absolutely.
So that's our 7. So number 1 was, do you know where you're going to? Yep. Number 2 was, show me the way.
Yep.
3 is help. 4, talk.
Yep.
5, freedom. 6, changes. And 7, celebration. And yep. I genuinely believe, and I know from my own experience, if we focus on these 7 secrets, these 7 steps, we will increase the likelihood of making lasting and meaningful change. And yeah, you'll find those songs on that Spotify playlist I've put together for everybody.
I am going to share that. And I think, again, like I said, even though the points are really simple, and having a simple 7 steps with even just keywords, we all need a hook, and we need things to help prompt us and remind us. And I think anyone going through any kind of change project, however small or large, they'll come back to this. And that's really, really useful. Before I let you go, because you just reminded us about the importance of writing things down and things not just being an email, just tell us quickly about your role as a trustee, because it's a really important role.
Thank you. So I'm a trustee of a charity called From Me to You, which is another song by the Beatles, interestingly. So From Me to You was founded when 2 friends, Alison and Brian, had met at a yoga retreat, and Brian was diagnosed with bowel cancer, and Alison didn't know how to support him, so she said, I'll write you letters to cheer you up. She wasn't a letter writer, and over the next couple of years, while Brian went through his treatment, and he's fortunately still clear of cancer now, Alison wrote over 100 letters. And so the charities started for people to be encouraged to write to loved ones who have cancer, to reduce that sense of isolation. And we also have a donate a letter scheme, Beth, where if people want to send letters to us, we will then distribute them to cancer centres and hospitals. And it's a joy to be involved, because I know the power of handwritten letters.
Yeah, and it's sharing. It doesn't have to be about anything in particular. It's just understanding that it's lovely and powerful to read something that somebody else has written.
It's we always say to people, just write about ordinary, mundane stuff. Whether you've taken the dog for a walk, what you've seen, in the garden, your train journey to work, and that's it. Yeah, write about your ordinary day, which is
another song.
Another song. It's a wonderful charity, and if anybody's interested in finding out more, they can contact me or have a look on the From Me to You letters.
From Me to You. Thanks, Liz. We've had a slightly dodgy internet connection, but it hasn't meant I couldn't hear you. So thank you for persisting, and thank you everyone for listening. And Liz, there's some amazing stuff there that will be really, really helpful to people. So thank you finally for doing this with me, and it was worth every minute. Thank you very much.
My absolute pleasure, Beth. Thanks for inviting me.
Bye.